Assalamu alaikum, it's me, Salam Sabi, and this is part 2 of Sex in Islam. And in today's video, we're going to discuss masturbation, pornography, and sex toys. Yeah, I think I got everything. And we're just basically going to just explain how these things are haram, which means they're unlawful. Even if you're married, as you know, sex in Islam is only permissible if you're married. And I'm going to explain why it's been found to be unlawful. And the first subject we're going to talk about is masturbation. Masturbation, as you know, is when you touch yourself in your private parts and until you're aroused. And the reason why this is considered haram is because you don't really need to be masturbating. One reason is because, well, you can get married. That's the purpose of having a spouse, so that they can satisfy your sexual urges. Now, there are situations where the person may be too young to get married or is not financially able to support a wife. So that is basically the final thing left. Now, let's be honest. Do people masturbate? I think this is something that we need to be honest about. Even though it is haram, it doesn't mean that people don't do it. Of course, I did a lot of reading on it, and I also searched the web, and and it seems like the general response was masturbation is haram. But if you're about to explode and you just can no longer control yourself, and you've tried everything, and you tried praying, and you tried just doing anything to take your mind off it, and you cannot control yourself, and to stop yourself from running to a woman and fornicating, then in order to release that pressure, I'm sorry, I'm trying to say in the most proper way, then they did say that if you had to, then you could do it. But they don't recommend it. But if you're just at that peak where you just can't take it anymore, then they said, of course, it's better to masturbate than it is to fornicate, because of course when you're masturbating, you're by yourself. So but it's still forbidden, and yeah, so that's the one for masturbation. And also, when you masturbate, you do have to clean yourself, because semen was released, or fluids from a female was released. You do have to perform a ghusl, just like you had sexual intercourse, because fluids have been released. You need to go back and purify yourself. Now, on masturbation, you may be asking, why is this haram? Well, because in the Holy Quran, and it clearly states, and those who guard their chastity, private parts, from illegal sexual acts, except from their wives or the captives and slaves, I'm not going to get into that, and that their right hand possess, for them they are free from blame. From whoever seeks beyond that, then those are the transgressors. Which basically means, if you have sexual needs, you basically need to use your husband or wife to satisfy those sexual needs, not artificial ways or of superficial ways of satisfying yourselves, like masturbation. And it also says, and to those who find not the financial means for marriage, keep themselves chaste until Allah enriches them of His bounty. Basically, that's very obvious that also goes along with sex toys. Sex toys are haram also in Islam, and of course, because you can't use a fake penis or a fake vagina to satisfy your needs. That's just not a natural act. It goes back to getting married and having sexual relations with your partner. And there are some imams and scholars who say that if you're married, you can use sex toys, but the overall response is no. It's basically haram. You know, porn, watching pornography, Playboy, Hustler, Penthouse, Playgirl, whatever, all of that is haram. Like, you cannot sit there and stare at naked men and women, and also people having sexual relations on camera is haram. The only sexual relationship you'll be having is with your partner. You're not allowed to view other people having sex. It's considered something that's just very inappropriate, and it's kind of like opening the door to more things. Okay, well, first it started off with masturbation, and then after that it's porn, and then after porn it's porn magazines. Well, usually it's masturbation, porn magazines, and then porn movies, and then it turns into buying toys and blow up dolls and just all types of strangeness. It basically opens the door to all types of other behaviors. They ask a question: can the husband and wife masturbate with each other? And from what I was reading, it was still considered haram, and you cannot do that. You know, that is why your wife has a private part and your husband has a private part. You know, it's like playing with a puzzle. You know, it eventually fits in. And let me see, sex shops are haram. Like, you can't go into a sex shop and buy pretty much anything. Now, there are certain things that you can buy. You can buy like massage oils that are not made from animal fat, and you can also sometimes take certain types of herbs. But they do have a halal sex shop online, and it basically only sells oils and herbs. It does not sell vibrators or blow up dolls or anything like that. One of the joys of marriage is sex, and it's also sex for reproductive purposes. You know, he created us to take pleasure in each other. So basically all of that extra stuff is a perversion, and it takes you away from having a natural relationship with your spouse. So that's basically all. I think I ran over. I said ran over. I think I've gone over pretty much. Oh, someone asked me about anal, like to lick someone's anus. No, you cannot lick somebody's anus. That is still only for defecation. You cannot urinate on someone. Urinating is, your urine should go in a toilet bowl. Okay? Just basically anything that's freaky and strange at times is basically haram. Like tying someone up and like beating them up, like stuff like that is no. And usually when people have these problems, It's recommended that you fast, that you pray, that you choose righteous friends, you keep yourself busy with worship and spiritual acts, play sports, um, modesty and lowering one's gaze is also very important. And um, basically, sex is not a bad thing in Islam. It's not. It's something that is a beautiful thing, but it just has to be done correctly. And personally, I grew up never being ashamed of sex. My parents didn't really discuss sex. It was just more sex is for adults and don't talk about it. But it was never seen as a dirty or filthy thing. And as an adult, I've never seen sex as something that is dirty. To me, it is a natural act, and it's an act of also reproduction. And when we take it out of the boundaries set up by, Allah, then that's when we start having all types of STDs and just all types of problems. I've never been someone who's ashamed to talk about sex. It doesn't upset me. It doesn't bother me. It may make other people feel weird, but I would not even have a problem teaching an Islamic sex ed class, but I know that's never going to happen because that's up to the parents. And when I have children, I do not have a problem talking about sex, and I don't think parents should. I think we should talk about just being more open and telling our kids about sex and marriage, not outside of marriage, but keeping sex within marriage, and just having a positive view about sex, and that it's not a shameful thing. Intimacy is a beautiful thing when it's done correctly. And I think I pretty much covered everything, and this is the last video about sex, because I won't be talking about sex anymore. So, assalamu alaikum.